In number 6, a number is increased by 25% and the resulting number is decreased by 20%. The final number is what percent of the original number? All right, so in this case, I just want to go over the percents. Just recall that if you want to do some calculations with percents, you need to either turn the percent into the number 0.01 or turn the percent sign into the number 1 over 100, or in 25%, for example, move the decimal place 2 places to the left, and that's the number that you're going to use in your calculation. So 25% would be 25 times 0.01, or 25 times 1 over 100. All three of these methods give you the same thing, so you just pick the method that is easiest for you to remember or easiest to understand. But it's 0.25 and 0.20 that you would use to figure this out. So take a moment, work out number 6, and then I'll go over it. Okay, so one thing I like to do, another strategy we can use, is let's use a test number to work through. In other words, if I want to know what percent of this number was, it'd be helpful if we had a number to work with. So I'm just going to use a little test number of 100. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 100 and increase it by 20%. Then I'm going to take the resulting number and decrease it by 20%. Then, once I have those two numbers, I have my original number of 100 and my new number that we'll figure out. Then I can find what percent the new number is of the original number. So, in this case, we have 100% is being increased by 25%. So we first have to figure out what 25% of 100 is. So we multiply 100 by 0.25, and that gives us 25. Since we increased, we're going to add that 25 to the 100. So we get 125. Then it says that new number is decreased by 20%. So let's figure out what 20% of 125 is. So multiply by 0.20, we get 25 again. So since we are decreased, we're going to subtract 25 from the 125, and we get 100. So our original value is 100. Our final number is 100. And the question now is, what percent of the original number, or sorry, the final number is what percent of the original number? Now, notice how we started with 100, we ended with 100. That means that since there was no change, that means that our new number is simply everything of the first number, or all of the first number, or mathematically, it's 100% of the first number. Now, the fact that these numbers were 100 didn't really matter. If we use the number 200, for example, if this was 200, we'd go through all the same steps and we'd end up with 200. The point being, my new number is 100% of the original number. There was no change. Another way to look at it is a purely algebraic way. So without a test number, you could call your original number x. I'll do this in green. So you could call your original number x, and if you're increasing it by 25%, that means that your new number is going to be 125% of what it used to be. So you can multiply x by 1.25. Once you get that, you're going to multiply it by a decrease of 20%. So if you're decreasing 20%, that means your new number is going to be 80% of what it was. So that's 0.8. And that's going to be our final number. We'll call that y. Now, if you do this, if you do 1.25 times 0.8, you just get 1. So that means x times 1, or 100%, is y. So here's an algebraic approach to see that your new number is going to be 100% of your old number.